some participants of the Sphere program titled Assuring Quality in Higher Education in Sierra Leone. And this presentation is about study program development in higher education institutions in Sierra Leone. This is part of a series of training workshops which have been organized for participants of higher education institutions, especially quality assurance officers. At the end of this presentation, participants will be able to distinguish between a course and a program, to understand how a study program is developed in higher education institutions and approved by the External Accreditation Agency, which in this case for Sierra Leone is the Tertiary Education Commission. And participants will also be able to understand the role of the various stakeholders involved in the development of a study program. Okay, so let's start our discussion. Now, basically, when we talk about a program, we are talking about a collection of topics or courses, right? Now, for example, a program can be, for example, you can say chemical engineering program. There are various courses between the first year to the final year that do make up this program. And so all of these courses make up a program. So don't confuse when or misunderstand a course from a program. A course is not a program. A course is what makes up a program. Okay, having said that, let's look at certain things more in detail. So we say, what is program development? Because initially, you have to develop a program. So we say that a program development involves a process of designing the curriculum of a program. So it means that in the process of program development, steps are required. That means you have to do several things. And despite doing several things, it means you have to design, you have to put together certain things. So we say here that program development is almost equivalent to what we can call curriculum development. So the curriculum will be the collection of courses and the topics. According to Harvey, he defined curriculum as a philosophy, the content that is referring to topics, the approach, and the assessment. So these put together is what we refer to as a curriculum. All right, so let's forge ahead. Now, who initiates a program? Generally, any stakeholder of the university can generate a program. Now, it can be from within the university, it can be from outside the university. From within the university, for example, a lecturer may see the need for a particular program being developed. That lecturer will be within a department. Or maybe the dean of a faculty may decide that after consultation, there is a need for their department or the faculty of that university to come up with a program that is of necessity to the country as a whole. Or maybe the vice chancellor, the VC, can call a department or can call any of the faculty members and say there is need for our university to develop expertise in this area. So within all of these, any of these people within the university can initiate a program. Having said that, a program can also be initiated outside the university. For example, the employer. For example, let's say we have a mining company, a national mining company, and they can look at the situation and say that we are short of capacity within this sector, and they can approach a university, they can approach a polytechnic, that can you develop a tailor-made program that can deliver certain needs. So in that case, the employer can do that, or the government, the ministry, the education ministry or the trade ministry or the agriculture ministry, any of these can approach the university and say, we do need a program of such a nature. So say they are based on market or societal needs, they can approach a university for the development of a program or an amendment of an existing program or a short course. There are many short courses. Some of these short courses are initiated not within the university. Some of them are initiated by the by stakeholders outside the university. So you can see that anybody within the reach of the university or outside the university can actually initiate a program. Now, so what are the initial steps for a new study program? Based on what we have said earlier on the left hand side, you can see that members within a department, they can come together. So you can see in that picture, you can see that they are all in white, to show that they are all one in one department. And they can brainstorm, and they can put things together. They can discuss, plan. This can take several weeks, it can take several months. But this can be done within a department. Or, on the right, you can see faculty members coming together, brainstorming, putting ideas together to develop a study program. So as I said, it doesn't matter who initiates the program, but basically the initial steps, there has to be brainstorming, or somebody can develop an outline and bring it and present it to their colleagues, and they can look at it. Now, the study program may be within a department, or it may be or it may be a faculty program. For example, let's say Bachelor in Botany will be developed by a department, the expertise within that botany department. But for example, if you want to develop a program in environmental science, this is an interdisciplinary course. So for an interdisciplinary course, it is developed by a faculty, because you will get people from chemistry, you will get people from maths, you will get people from physics, you will get people from biology, you can get people from geography, all of these, and even agriculture. All of these personnel from all of these various disciplines will come together and put an environmental science program together. But if you are developing a specific program like plant biology or animal biology, you do not need any other faculty member. You may not need them. All you may need is to identify prerequisite courses, that is, courses which students must opt for in another department, which will be a support. Right. So we said that because of environmental science is a combination of several subject disciplines, it will involve the participation of several departments coming together. Now, for a departmental study program, the head of the department may take the responsibility, or somebody who the head of the department will appoint as the lead, as the program coordinator or program director, whatever is the terminology within that institution. Now, developing the draft. Now, once the draft of the study program has been developed, copies of the draft will be sent to colleagues to critique, to check whether it has been done properly, whether something has been missing, as the case may be. Feedback received will be used to improve the draft. Remember, it is not done in one step and complete in one step. It will be done over a period of time. And the back and forth, giving it to colleagues, then reviewing and sending it back will help to improve. We'll talk about stakeholders' involvement in the development of the study program, because the program being developed is not meant to stay within the walls of the university. They are meant for society, and the employers must have their say. So questions should be considered when developing a study program. 1. What will be the qualification to be achieved? Are you developing a program for a diploma level, or a degree level, or it might be a certificate? So again, in short, is it for an undergraduate program, or is it for a postgraduate program? Who is or who are the target groups? which job market is targeted. You need to know. For example, if you are developing a program for the petroleum industry, who are the players within the petroleum industry? What are the things the graduates are supposed to know? All of that will influence the courses, the topics of the courses that will form the program. So which faculty again will house the program? For example, if you are developing a course on environmental science, you are not going to anchor that program in the Faculty of Arts because it is a science program. Similarly, if you are developing a program, for example, on history, you are not going to anchor that program in engineering faculty. So the anchoring of a program in a faculty is also important. Will the program be run by a single department or no, or one, or more than that? Again, it depends whether it is an interdisciplinary program or whether it is not an interdisciplinary program. So all of these are questions which need to be asked. So based on the answer, you will know who will be the participants in the development of the study program and how you forge ahead. Did you engage stakeholders? You don't sit in your office in your university and develop a program for people going to, like if you are developing a program for farmers, it will be short-sighted for you not to involve the Farmers Association, because they will come and give you some practical experience, some tips, which you will need to incorporate into the training. So if you are developing a program on agriculture, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Farmers Association, those who are actually doing the work out there, they need to be involved in the development of the program. Again, will the program require specific needs? Will the program require the use of a laboratory or a workshop, computers? This day and age, computers are needed for every program, even if you are doing history. But you need to search for materials in the net. Are there competent staff to develop the program? If not, what arrangements are in place for adequate staffing? Because don't forget, there has to be a staff-student ratio. You are not going to rely on bachelor graduates to deliver a bachelor program. So, but ideally, you need a higher degree to be able to deliver a program. What support services are required? Are they available? For example, if you are dealing with the sciences and maybe if you are doing some outdoor experiments, maybe you need some tanks, maybe you need water supply, maybe you need electricity. These are all the things. And the kind of experiments you are going to be performing. What support services are available to ensure that these are provided? What are the expected outputs and the outcome from the program? These are questions. Now, in developing a program, there are certain challenges. Not every member will cooperate up to a certain level. Some may be nonchalant, some may be dragging their feet. So you need to be aware of all of these. Not enough expertise may be available, and this can slow the process. Members of the committee are heavily occupied with other workload, as in the case in our environment here in Sierra Leone. So you might have some people multitasking. So some of them will not have enough time to finish their work within a stipulated time or as agreed. So these are things which need to be considered when planning in doing your study program. Lack of proper support service. For example, stationery. There is not enough stationery when you want to print. Maybe there is no light. Some of these things might not be obvious in the Western world. But in our third world countries, these are normal constraints. Maybe the printer. There are not many printers. So many people will have to compete for one printer. Inconsistent stakeholders participation when it is not their initiative. For example, maybe you need some ministry personnel, you need some inputs into the program. Maybe they should have submitted their feedback within a given point in time, but they didn't do so. You have to chase them. Sometimes you have to give them some incentive for them to cooperate, and maybe there is no budget for that. So how do you manipulate? How do you deal with all of these situations? Right? So these are all, it may not be exhaustive, but these are all challenges you need to look at when developing such a program. Again, how long will, what's the time frame when you are developing a study program? It usually takes a minimum of 1 year to develop a study program. From the time you initiate it to the time you get started. The minimum period is 1 year. Often it's more than 1 year. Why? Because initially, your document will be scrutinized internally in the department. But once you have finished within the department, you have to take it, in our setting, you have to take it to the faculty board. The faculty board, it may not be a one-off engagement. There might be back and forth, and all of that takes time. Once the faculty board is satisfied, the faculty now officially submit it to Senate. Sometimes, when you submit it to Senate, they will take it back to the University Curriculum Committee. So, from the faculty board, it will go to the University Curriculum Committee. The Curriculum Committee will sit on it, will check whether the content, the staff, the external thing, everything has been sorted. Then it can go to Senate. Once it gets to Senate, Senate will now have the power to approve a program. Once it gets to Senate, it can now go for Senate to forward it to University Court for ratification, for information. And then from University Court will now inform the external body. In our case in Sierra Leone, it's the Tertiary Education Commission, to inform them that it has gone through all of this due process. But of course, having gone to the TEC have also their own role. So key areas for the curriculum committee to check for: is there a need for the course or program? Is there a need? The content of the course will be looked at. The number or critical mass of tutors for the course. Because you are not going to train people of 200 and you have two lecturers. Are the tutors qualified to lecture the course? Required infrastructure to support the course. The laboratory, the workshop, the computers, which I spoke about earlier. Was there stakeholder input into the curriculum? What's the expert view of the course content? Other cost implications. Is there a market need? So these are all key areas. Now, we remember that we spoke about submitting it to the Tertiary Education Commission. So you may want to ask, what is their role? So we'll look at that before we end this presentation. So we said that the Tertiary Education Commission was established in 2001 by an Act of Parliament. So it means it's a legal entity. It is statutory by an Act of Parliament. And their role is to advise government on higher education. And their role is to regulate higher education institutions in Sierra Leone. So the TEC ensures quality and quality of programs and act as an institutional liaison between government and other stakeholders in higher education. Now, when it comes to the TEC accreditation, two things are involved. The institution first has to be accredited to make sure that the institution is legal, and also the program they run has to be accredited. Generally, there are 5 direct grades at the TEC. You have the finance and funding. For the purpose of our study program, that's why it is in bold, You have the academic programs, new institution and legislation, otherwise referred to as happening. And then you have the academic audits and institutional affairs. You have the condition of service, and you have the research, innovation and publication directorate. So program development, when you submit a program at Tertiary Education Commission, because the directorate responsible for it is happening, and when once they receive it, that directorate plus key other staff will act upon that submission. From there, the commission will identify experts who will look at it, and they will consult other professional bodies. And based on the experts' review, the commission now will decide and communicate to the institution as to whether it is accepted or whether they need to do some further work. So, as I said, experts on institutional affairs are drawn from within and out of Sierra Leone. If there is a need to access experts out of the country, the commission will do that. So program suitability is determined in general. Is it fit for purpose, staff strength, resources, stakeholders involvement, etc. Often, visitation is carried out to the institution to see that what is put on paper is actually is in place. Because you can write something, you may write something, and it's not reflective on what is on the ground. So in terms of institutional standards, every tertiary education institution shall provide the following facilities for effective teaching and learning. So this is, the commission communicates this: classroom or lecture rooms, as the case may be, library, auditorium or lecture theatre, laboratory, internet connectivity, and related things, total credits for graduation, grading, staffing, and even with your staffing, whether you have competent staff and they are only inbreeding staff or several other things, because even around the globe, many countries have policies on inbreeding. For example, if you are in a university, you may not do your PhD there. Or if you do your PhD there, in that particular university, you may not teach in that university. You may go to another university to teach after you receive your PhD diploma. Obligations of accredited institutions. According to the statutory instrument number 2 of the 2006, every accredited institution in Sierra Leone should ensure that 1, it is the responsibility of the TEC to set the minimum entry requirements for all programs, the minimum number and duration of all programs, the minimum and maximum number of students in each program, that no new program of institution is mounted and regulations thereof effected without the approval of the Tertiary Education Commission. Suspension and revocation of accreditation. In a situation where the Commission is satisfied that a tertiary education institution is operated in a manner contrary to the aims and objectives for which it was established, is offering programs for which there are no adequate resources, has mounted new programs for which the approval of the Commission has not been given, it may advise, suspend, or revoke its accreditation as the case may be. So generally, these are the things, the position of the Tertiary Education Commission with regards to study program, as well as with regards to accreditation of an institution in general. So thank you, and I hope that this lecture has given you an insight as to how study program is developed in most of our institutions in Sierra Leone, and how it relates to the accreditation body, the agency Tertiary Education Commission in Sierra Leone. Thank you for your attention.